Welcome
I have no idea what's going on, guys. This could be a major fiasco.
to Lighting for Profits, your #1 source for all things landscape lighting. Powered by Emery Allen. From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
And almost like, okay, is this where I get beat up in front of my friends? Like, what's going to happen?
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
That's what I like.
Now, here is your host, Ryan Lee.
What's up? What's up? Welcome to the #1 landscape lighting show in the world. We're still the only, but we're still the #1. That's the only thing that matters. If you're looking to start, grow, scale, dominate a landscape lighting business, then you are definitely in the right place. Here to help. What are we here? I think we're here to help educate, motivate. That's right. Help you educate, motivate to help you dominate your local area. So super excited to be with you guys today. This is honestly my favorite day of the week. It's Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern, where we get to go live here for Lighting for Profits, talk about the lighting industry, talk about business. I'm addicted to it, guys. I'm addicted to it. I really am. I get high off this stuff. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Could not do this without you guys. I want to thank Emery Allen for their support. They are an awesome partner for me. And if you guys missed the message last week, we're doing a special promo with them. You just have to email Tom G at emeryallen.com. That's the owner, by the way, Tom Garber, Tom G at emeryallen.com, and get 10% off your first order. Man, guys, I'm excited today. I was just chatting, and the guest that we're going to have on this week, I could seriously talk to him for hours. And we're probably not going to do that today. I was like, hey, Jim, we're going to have to cut this off at an hour. But I got Jim Dubois. This guy's a total stud. I hope you guys will stick around because he is a very successful service business owner and also a coach. And so that's probably why I get along well with him, because we have the same philosophies. He's just a lot better at executing than me. He's just better than me. So, they say that you want to surround yourself with people that are going to elevate you, and you never want to be the smartest person in the room. And I promise you, I could hang out in the room with this guy for a long time because he's just got that much to offer. So I'm super excited to have him on in just a couple minutes. And remind you guys, if you have not, please go and subscribe to the new channel. It's still called Lighting for Profits, but just go and look for my ugly mug when you search Amazon, Spotify, Google, Apple, wherever you listen to the podcast. Look for Lighting for Profits and get the updated one, because that's where season 2 exists. That's where we upload and everything. So really, really looking forward to today's show. Before we get started, I do want to remind you guys, listen, a fixture is only as good as the source of light inside it. This light source is what your customers and future customers will ultimately see at night and will result in thousands of dollars in return business for you, along with glowing referrals. See what I did there? Emery Allen believes every lighting professional should have access to a light source engineered from the ground up, dedicated to high performance when you need it most. At the end of the day, it's what's on the inside that counts. Take advantage of Emery Allen's world-class customer service and 10% off your first order for new clients. Guys, it's easy to do. Just email Tom G at emeryallen.com for more info. And remember, they offer discounted contractor pricing. So email Tom G at emeryallen.com and get your account set up today. And it's important, guys. I'm trying to give back. Emery Allen's done a lot for me. They've been with me from, I guess not the beginning, but it feels like the beginning. And I'm trying to help them out. So if you guys are curious and you're looking for new product and stuff like that, get in touch with them and they'll help you out. And by the way, if you are here live on Facebook, say what's up, say hello. Hello, Edwin. Hello, Facebook user. And there is the man himself we're talking about, Tom Garber. What's up, Tom? Thanks for being here, guys. Appreciate your support. And by the way, if you guys have questions for Jim, we can make this interactive, So we've got the comment tool if you're live. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and then, of course, we'll be recording this for the podcast listeners. So, okay, I want to do what I'm calling 5 minutes of fun. I'm going to do 5 minutes of fun. I wanted to share this. Okay, how do I do this? I got to share my screen real quick. Sometimes when you don't know how to do stuff. Okay, here we go. Carry the one. Okay, I'm sharing the screen. So hopefully you guys can see this. They played this at AOLP. So if you guys missed out on AOLP, they played this. This was hilarious. I played it this weekend at the Clippa conference. If you're watching, watch. If you're listening, take a listen.
This is why I don't like going outside. I said, this is why I don't like taking out the trash. Understand something. For me to take out the trash in my house, I got to walk down a driveway. I don't have any lights in my driveway. It gets real dark in my driveway. The reason why I don't have any lights is because I turned down the option to get lights in my driveway because I thought the contractors were trying to take advantage of me because they knew that I had money. That's what I thought. To be honest with you, that's what I thought. He's like, Mr. Hart, gets pretty dark in his driveway. You want us to put some lights in here? I said, you don't think I know what you're trying to do? Huh? You don't think I know what you're trying to do? It's a driveway. You drive in, you drive out. What the hell I need lights for? I was wrong. I need lights. I can't see a damn thing. I don't like being in my driveway because it get real dark. And I don't like hearing animal noises when I can't see which animal it is. Hearing stuff like this, or like, I don't like that. Because when you get scared and you can't see, you just start negotiating. Like, hey, what do we got to do to make this right? Like, if it's money you want, it's money I'll give you. I don't know. I told my lady I'm not doing it anymore. I said, what I'm going to do is start making my son take out the trash. It's time for him to become a man around this house. He's 7 years old. He doesn't do enough. That's the beautiful thing about being a dad. You do what you want, when you want. I go upstairs, I wake my son up. I say, boy, get your behind up and get that trash out. Matter of fact, didn't I tell you to get the trash out? Complete lie. I know I never told him.
All right, so 5 minutes of fun with Kevin Hart. Let me see if I can stop sharing this. Okay, that was an awesome clip. It actually it's hilarious. Obviously, it's funny, but so somebody tried to sell Kevin Hart some driveway lighting, and it didn't work out. He thought he was getting taken advantage of because of money. Have you guys had that experience? You know, have you gone into that gated neighborhood where they're like, "Oh man, you're just trying to charge extra because we live in here or whatever." So the reason that is because people don't trust you, right? And so learn a little bit from Kevin's funny experience and build trust. Spend a minute to build some trust. So again, guys, reminder, in just a couple minutes, we're going to have Jim Dubois on with Window Washing Wealth. And stick around because I'm telling you, like, the stuff that he's about to share is going to change your life. You're going to find at least one thing that's going to change the trajectory of your life today. I promise you that. And I realize, Jim, I'm putting a lot of pressure on him, but he's ready to go, man. He's a stud. So I want to share something really quick before we have Jim join us. Hopefully you guys are okay with that. It has to do with me. So this last weekend, I went to Clippa. It's the Christmas Light Installation Pros Association. They basically have an annual training, an annual conference and stuff like that. So I was there. I was one of the speakers. I set up a booth, and it was awesome. And so a quick kind of summary. You know, they have the speakers. The speakers were awesome. Unfortunately, because I was like manning my booth, I didn't get to hear all the speakers. But like the very first one just set the tone perfectly. I mean, the guy was a total stud. Talking about mindset, talking about schedule, talking about all this different stuff that you can do. And it was really, really good, right? The lineup of speakers, I've heard several of them speak before, just totally awesome, right? The vendors, I mean, obviously I was one of them. So what's up? The vendors were awesome. A lot of different, there was software, there was gear, there was a lot of different things in there to help grow your business, right? What's up, Brian Matthews? Good to see you, man. Thanks for being here. And then finally, there was the social scene. So you have the speakers where you attend the conference, you get learning, you meet new vendors. You have the social scene. They had like, you know, appetizers and drinks and kind of a party to allow everyone to network and stuff like that. So overall, it was awesome. You know, it was a really, really good time. And I started thinking, you know, I've thought about this before. Like, is it worth going to these things, right? And you guys probably have this in your business. Is it worth doing this activity? Is it worth spending the money on this or the time on this? So I was gone basically 3 days. It was kind of a long 2.5. Thursday afternoon, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and got back late Saturday night, just in time for Mother's Day. Almost like I knew what I was doing, guys. Got home, put a pork butt on the smoker, and just, you know, looked super smooth, right? But, you know, was my 3 days, you know, the time of 3 days and the money I spent, you know, at least a couple grand, if not a few grand to be there. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Was it worth going? Was it an expense or was it an investment? And what's up, Nels Peterson? How you doing, man? Good to see you. If you're still in Utah, let's connect, man. I saw you were here the other day. So the reason I ask you guys this is because there's a difference between an expense and an investment. I was talking with a client actually, and they're at a point where they're at a good point where they're at a difficult spot in their business where they need to make some hard decisions. And, do they add another installer? Do they get another vehicle? Do they move from their garage, from their house to like actually getting a facility? Do they get someone else in the office? There's so many options for them to do, and it's hard for them to make the decision because it's a thing called risk, right? And they're almost paralyzed in making this decision because of risk, and they're held back because of risk. And traditionally they're more cautious and more reserved and conservative in their decisions and stuff like that. But if you want to be a force to reckon with, if you really want to achieve your goals, your dreams, at some point you're going to have to learn to take risks. And when I learned the difference between an expense and an investment, my decision making skills went through the roof. And I'm not talking about necessarily making the right decision. Okay. I still make bad decisions, but the ability to just make a decision is going to set you off on a trajectory that you wouldn't otherwise have. And if you look around, if you were just to do like a general analysis of the successful companies, they're all willing to take big risks, right? And the ones that stay small are typically not willing to take on much risk. And I'm not suggesting that, if you only have $100 in your bank account to just go put that go put it on black in Vegas or red or whatever, right? That's not the risk I'm talking about. It's still a calculated risk. But I'm telling you, when I understood the difference between an expense and investment, that's when I was able to start making decisions. So things like, should I hire another technician or get a van or get an actual office with a workshop? Those are all three really, really good decisions that honestly, you could roll the dice and pick any one and you're going to be fine because they're an investment. They're not an expense. And when you invest correctly, every dollar in is going to yield you more than a dollar out. And investments like another technician, a wrapped van that's going to give you more leads, an office warehouse that's going to make you actually feel like a legitimate business and make your team members feel like they're actually part of something. And they see that, wow, this isn't just a work out of the home, hobby. This is a real business. Those things don't show up on a P&L. The value of these things far exceed the investment, the cost that it requires to do. So I would encourage you guys to really do an analysis every time you go to make a decision. Is it an expense or an investment? If it's an investment and you have the money and it's not just your last dollar, in their case, they have some money that they've made, they've got some profit, and they're only risking a small portion of that. So it's a very highly calculated risk and really a no-brainer. I told them, you know what, I would invest in your business today. If it's just money holding you back and you don't want to spend yours, I'd spend mine because to me, it's worth that investment, right? And so technically in business, you can almost argue everything as an investment, but it's true that there are expenses out there. And if you are willing to invest in yourself, invest in your business, I promise you big dividends are on the other side. And those that are willing to take on more risk and make those hard decisions faster are going to get there that much faster. And again, I used to wait forever to make decisions, and I would get paralyzed by fear as well. I was like, man, it's just easier just to keep doing it myself and I'll deal with that later. But at some point, when are you going to deal with it? If not now, then when? So it's scary to take the next step, guys. In fact, I told them actually just a couple of years ago, I was at my wife's family has a cabin and there's a lake nearby. And we went on the lake. Actually, the rules are to not go on the frozen lake, but I'm the uncle that takes the nieces and nephews on the frozen lake because we're not supposed to go on the frozen lake. So you tell me what not to do. I'm like, let's go try it. So I'm like coaxing them, come on out. And they're like scared as all get out. Right. And, they are scared to go on the ice. And I I get why, because they were told not to go on the ice, right? And I'm like, come on, you can trust your uncle. Let's go. Well, I didn't know how deep, how thick the ice was, but it's been a cold winter. It was like February. And it's like, dude, this ice has to be at least 2 feet thick. That wasn't what I was thinking in my mind. Well, they had a hand auger. So we go take it. I go, let's go out there. We'll go ice fishing. And we start drilling the hole in this ice. And they didn't have like the cool auger. It was just like the old school. And we're sitting there like doing this thing. And we get down like 6 inches, 12 inches, 18 inches, 24 inches, 36 inches. I'm like, dude, you guys, we're 3 feet thick. You were scared to come out here, right? It was almost 4 feet, and the auger bit is only 4 feet long. Literally, it took like every inch of it. We break through the ice, and the ice is 4 feet thick, guys, 4 feet. And I feel like my client is like that. They're afraid to take that next step onto the ice because all these what if scenarios. What if the economy does this? What if it doesn't work out with that employee? What if, what if? Like, of course, there's all those what ifs. What if the ice breaks, right? But it shouldn't, because it's 4 feet thick. That's all I know, right? And you can't control some of these other things. Like maybe an earthquake happens and it cracks the 4 feet of ice and we all die. So we didn't get to have that experience. But what if it's awesome and it's 4 feet thick and you have an awesome experience? So instead of thinking pessimistically about the what ifs in life, start thinking, what if it does work? What if I hire this new technician and now we can install an extra job a week because of it? What if I'm able to generate an additional 300,000 in sales because I get a wrapped van? What if we're able to turn into a multi-million-dollar business because we get this office? So just change your mindset a little bit, instead of a negative what if into a positive what if. So enough about me. If I can figure out where the buttons are, we're going to have to just welcome our guest. And by the way, before I do that, let me say what's up to Manny. What's up, Manny? What's up, Tommy? What's up, Paul? Yeah, I'm blending in here. It's just one of those days. So let's welcome our guest with our traditional music. All right, guys, if you're ready, let me know in the comments. Mr. Jim Dubois, where's he at? Try to find him, try to figure out the buttons. Here we go. Let's see. I'm getting pumped. What is up? What's up, Jim?
Mr. Ryan Lee, what's going on, buddy?
Oh, man, I'm pumped to have you here, Matt, my friend. I really am excited about this. Thanks for taking the time, man.
Thank you. I'm still coming down from the high. I'm a little motivated here after that pitch. I'm like, I've got to get myself under control and get my thoughts together.
I know, man. Stick to the script. Just get out onto the ice. Be that uncle that gets the nieces and nephews into trouble.
Well, I have to interject because you said it right there. That analogy is so fantastic because it is all right here. If people can break through the mindset, it is amazing how far one can go when it comes to breaking through those hard brick walls. I call it to get to the next level, the next level, the next level. Most of it's right here.
Big time. Yeah. And it's not like, oh, I know what you're talking about, Jim. I solved that one day 10 years ago and now I'm perfect. Like I still deal with it on a daily basis.
Absolutely. It's business is so much fun. And when you're wired, and some have to get wired when it comes to business, but when you become wired, all you do is what? You eat it, you drink it, you sleep it, you think about it, you dream about it. And when that kind of gets into the brain and that mindset starts to shift in that direction, it goes back to you just set the vision and just go. Because look at those that have built the $1 million companies, the 7, 8, 9, 10-figure companies. It's all right here. And this is what they do. But I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. I've been looking forward to this. It's going to be a lot of fun. And this is really just pretty cool stuff right here.
So this is cool. And I don't know, how much you've followed the Lighting for Profits podcast, since you're in a little bit different industry, but one thing that people are used to by now is I screw up at least one time a show because, I'm producing the stuff and I'm trying to find the buttons and which order. And sometimes I hit record too early or too late or whatever. I forgot to read your bio. So do you care if I take a minute and read your bio?
It's all yours. You got the mic.
So I like this. I like this bio. So Jim Dubois, a regular guy, not true, a regular guy with no college or business degree, built a multi-million dollar absentee-owned window cleaning pressure washing company, starting with just himself, $100 and a burning desire to succeed. Today, with 40 plus on staff, Squeegee Pros Inc. out of Mooresville, North Carolina, is a completely systematized operation from hiring, managing, marketing, administration, growth, and more. Jim is a 20-year veteran in the business, writes for the American Window Cleaner magazine, speaks regularly at conferences, and is the author of How to Build a Dream Window Cleaning Business in Record Time. In 2017, Jim started Window Washing Wealth, a business coaching company specific to the window cleaning and pressure washing industry. The mission is to help those stuck, needing help to break through and get to the next level in their business. Window Washing Wealth specializing in aggressive marketing tactics, internal company systems, and how to create a market dominating position in their respective window cleaning pressure washing marketplace. So welcome to the show, Jim. That's a great bio. Will you write mine?
Thank you, Ryan. And anytime. But thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I read the bio. I'm like, crap, I haven't done anything in life. Like this guy's done it. The only thing that I like all of it, except you're not a regular guy, because you I get what you're saying. Like regular guy, like, not the traditional, like, is this guy going to be able to do this? Because no, he doesn't have a college degree, business degree, all that stuff. But the reason why I don't think you're regular is because you've actually implemented things and taken what is available to all. Like I feel like a lot of my message, the stuff I preach, like I didn't invent it. I'm just sharing someone else's stuff, applying it to landscape lighting. And too many of us just don't adopt and implement so much stuff. Whereas you, instead of just being like the 98% that don't apply it, you actually applied it and got yourself out of the business.
Yeah, it comes right back to, there's a business acumen everyone has to develop if they want to go, into the bigger leagues of business life. And yeah, I'm a college dropout. I remember sitting at the kitchen table. I was 16 years old, and my dad says, "So what do you want to do for a living? What do you want to do for your life's career?" And I'm not really the college kind of person, but I figured, let me just try that and just see if something sticks, and it didn't. And when I answered the question, I said to him, "Dad, I just want to do my own thing. I don't know what the heck I want to do. I just want to do my own thing." And that burning desire of entrepreneurialism, even though I didn't really understand it, but I just knew if I could come across something, figure something out to where I could start creating my own income, that would be a battle won in my mind, to have achieved something that, however successful it may or may not have been, at least I was doing something that, if you do what you love, the money will follow. And I love the idea of trying to find something that I could do that was on my own. And that's where I started at the very beginning.
So when you did get started, how did that go? Was it you found a squeegee on the ground and a bucket and you're like, all right, let's do this? Or how did you get started?
Actually, so I was born in Indiana, and I lived there in my early years of life. My dad was military, so we traveled around, ended up back in Indiana. And at the age of 18, my stepsister called me from New Jersey and said, "Hey, why don't you come out here and I can get you a job and get your life started and help you out, whatever." And so I went out there. Long story short, I got a job washing windows. And I worked for Greg and Jerry for a year, and I learned the skill set of washing windows for storefronts. And of course, in the back of my mind, you know what I'm thinking, you know what I'm going to say. Well, I'm like, you know what? I could probably do this on my own, and maybe I could have my own business doing this. It's washing windows. How hard can it be? And after a year of working for him, I decided to go on my own, and that was my start. And I had that business up at the Jersey Shore for a few years. And then I ended up selling it back to them after I started it, after working for them. And that was my start in window cleaning. Now, I've had other businesses in between window cleaning, which was Done Right Window Cleaning up at the Jersey Shore. And then I moved down to North Carolina in 1996, and I started a window cleaning business here, of course, as you mentioned, Squeegee Pros. In the middle of that, there was, I don't know, probably 15 years, 10, 15 years in there that I had other businesses as well. So I've pretty much been self-employed since the age of 19. And I would never, ever, ever go back to working for somebody else.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because there's some people that I meet, there's some people I see in the Facebook groups and stuff like that, and I'm like, I feel like, I don't know if I'm like the opposite of a coach, where I'm like, you know what, you should just go get a job. Like, yeah, it's not going to work out for you, you know. And I don't know, like, if that's just me being like pessimistic. I feel like I'm like optimistic, like, no, this is actually the best thing for you. But for those of us that have done it, and you know that's your calling, like I'm the same way. Like, I was tempted when I started my lighting business. When it got hard, I was like, this sucks. I'm working way too many hours. I'm just going to go get a job. Like, what the hell am I doing? But I never even got close to like applying to a job or something, because the reality of it just made me sick thinking about it. So I'm with you. Once you got it, you can't deny it.
It's funny, when I moved down here in 1996 to North Carolina, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I just exited another business, and I was at a place where I had to make some decisions what I wanted to do for the next course of my life. And window cleaning was on my mind, had a few other things on my mind. And I walked into a mattress store on Independence Boulevard in Charlotte, for those listeners that might be out this way. And when I walked in the front doors, I noticed how dirty his windows were. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to pitch this guy on the window cleaning. If he says yes, I'll start a window cleaning business. If he says no, well, I'll go in a different direction. You know what the chance of him saying yes was?
That's crazy.
Maybe 20%, maybe 10%. And I pitched him. He goes, yeah, when can he get started? I said, well, give me by the end of the week. Now I had a sports car at the time. I had just moved down there and trying to get my foundation of life put together, as I just moved down there. And I was out there in a week. I got his windows cleaned. But that one conversation, Ryan, changed my life. And it's funny because it's been 26 years since I've had that company, and I still have it today, of course. But there's not a day that goes by that I still pinch myself. It's window cleaning. It's a multi-million-dollar operation. It's a come and go as you please business that's been built off of window cleaning, right? Landscape lighting, to garage floor coatings, to any service business, any business for that matter, that kind of fall into our space, into our trade set. It's just unbelievable what somebody can do if they begin applying that business acumen that I mentioned before, how big something can grow. And you know what? I had a staff meeting this morning. I go in once a week for a staff meeting, and I have a leadership meeting. And the precipice behind the staff meeting is, one, we're talking about company vision. Where are we going to go next? Because I tell my staff, we will never arrive. We will never get to a point where we will just maintain revenue, say. We're always striving to capture market share and more of it. We're always striving to be better than what we are right now. So those of you that are listening, if you're in the world of business as you are, and you really want to go to the top, I'll give you a phrase that I think about all of the time. If you want to be like a Fortune 500 company, you have to start acting like one. You have to start thinking like one. Even at a level of landscape lighting, window cleaning, and some of the industries that are in the spaces that we have here, it doesn't matter. You can go as big and grow as successful really as you want to be, and it just doesn't end. So the world of business, it is so exciting, but sometimes those of you that are on here, you might have to start wiring yourself a little bit more. And you said it, Ryan, at the very beginning, those that you surround yourself with, like if you take the top 5 people that you surround yourself with, and I know my top 5, I've been through this exercise, you will begin to become like them. So think about that, and then correlate that and segue that into the world of business. Look out.
Awesome. Well, I want to kind of pick your brain on some of the steps that you've done to get here. But kind of the burning question that I've got in my mind right now is, why haven't you sold? You've had this lighting business now over 20 years. I think you said 26 years. I have a lot of people reach out to me and they're like, oh man, I want to do what you do and like build a business and sell it. But I'm interested in your perspective on that. Why haven't you sold your business?
It's a great question. And actually there is a strategy behind that as far as the answer to that question. So one, you have to understand, and we can walk through the stages if you want, but I have what I refer to as 4 stages to build to an autopilot operation. And stage 4 is exactly that, where I come and go as I please. I go in one day a week for staff meeting and one time a month for financials and KPIs and analytics and marketing reports. Why would I sell in that regard if what I have is so great? I have an unbelievable team of people, unbelievable staff, unbelievable leadership that were all instrumental in getting my company to stage 4. I don't really work there very much. I really don't even do anything. I'm kind of like the captain that just kind of guides the ship, the visionary, and I love what I do with it. Now, with that, Christina, she is president of my company. She's been with me 14 years. She's gone through the pathways of advancement. I vested her in as a partner in my company 2 years ago. So to answer your question, I kind of have sold it by passing the torch on to her over an extended period of time as she just captures more and more shares of stock in the company. So that's my exit strategy, or selling my company, if you will, kind of keeping it in the family. So that's, you can sell outright for cash. You can sell outright with leadership in your company. There's various ways to do that. That was the path that I chose. And I think it was a great path because I still got my finger on the pulse. I still love what I do with it. So that kind of answered the question a little bit.
Oh, big time. And I love that you said it like that because, I always preach this message of replace yourself, and, build your business to be sellable. But I didn't want to sell my business. Like I tell people, like, listen, you don't want to be dumb like me and sell your business. You want to be like Jim and build it to be sellable, and then do your check-ins once a week or once a month. Just because of the circumstances, it was the right decision for me at the time, but that was not the plan. Like I would have much rather hire a general manager, hire a Christina, give them some opportunity to vest, and then me fly into Dallas every quarter and do a check-in or whatever. That would have been ideal for me. So I love that you shared that because I think some people get fixated on like, oh, I'm going to build $1 million or multi-million-dollar business and sell it. But why would you do it? I mean, that's when you enjoy the fruits of your labors. Like that's why you work so hard to build it, is so you can have that mailbox money. And that's the way it's done. So thank you for that. How about, here's my other question. Why the heck is it so freaking hard to grow a business? Like what?
Great question. Great question. Why is it so hard? I'll tell you why. This is my personal opinion of it. Most of us in the trades that we participate in, we become experts at the technician level. I'm an expert window cleaner. You're an expert landscape lighter. And that's most of us, right? That's the majority of us. We get really, really, really good at that. And what happens is we have our reasons why we got into the business, right? The dream of business and building it into what we want to build it into, hence our vision. But then reality starts to sit in, right? You go to hire that first person and it can become like a nightmare in some cases. They don't show up. They don't show up on time. They've got attitude. They don't do it like you do the job, so on and so forth. And what happens is you get a couple of people working for you. The frustration starts to kick in. You start pulling your hair out and you start putting your hands up and saying to yourself, you know what? Now I'm paying somebody and now I'm more frustrated than I was before. I think I'll just go back and do it myself.
Right, exactly.
And what happens is that's stage one. Stage one is just the owner operator. And that's the majority. They're an expert at it. But most of us, there's not a degree in business acumen. There's just not a degree out there. Sure, you can go to business school, but is it going to give you every facet of what you need to build a successful 7-figure operation? Probably not, right? So you have to start somewhere, just like you did, just like I did, and so many that are listening here. And then when you get into stage 2 and you do start hiring that first person, second person, third person, somebody to answer the phone, somebody to supervise, and you start scaling up in revenue, well, easier said than done. And again, the further they go down stage 2, the more frustrations that start to kick in. And that's because there's one word that's not being introduced into the operation that creates that hair pulling, that frustration, that I give up. Maybe I'll go get a job, right? And it's systems.
Yep.
And I didn't even learn this early on. I mean, I think the word systems, Ryan, was a buzzword just a few years ago. Everybody was talking about systems and systems. I didn't even know what systems really were. I mean, I kind of did, but back early on in my business, every time, see, most guys are problem solvers. So every time an issue would come up in my company, well, I had to solve the problem. And I would document it. I would write it out. And as time went on, all of these little frustrations, right, were appearing and developing, and I had to come up with little solutions to these things. So I was kind of building out little micro systems to a bigger system, if you will. And I began trying to enforce these little micro systems, and that in turn started to turn into traction for my company. And hey, I'll tell you right now, I'm not the fastest guy on the block by any means. 26 years, right, to get to where I'm at today. 26 years. But one of my mentors, his name is Richard Call, in a previous business that I was in before this, he said, Jim, whatever you do, when you get in it, just don't quit. Just don't quit. Keep chipping away. And I think about that all the time. So these little tiny systems started coming together and traction began to occur. And my little business started to take a little bit more life, a little bit more life. Now I was keeping people that I was hiring. Now I was enforcing a little bit more policy so they would do a better job. And it eventually began to come together. But most, going back to your question, they don't know this stuff. They can't even figure this stuff out. It was 2 decades for me to put this stuff together. And I'm still learning, still learning. You know, think about it this way. How many times when you turn on the TV, and most of us that are on this right now, we pay attention to advertising, whether it's through Facebook, through YouTube, the TV, the radio. If you don't, you should. It's funny, my wife, Tammy, she likes to fast forward through the commercials. I don't. I like to listen and learn. Can I get a little nugget of gold out of that particular advertisement, especially those in the home services environment, right? What are they doing? Think about it. How did they get on TV?
Yeah.
If they're on TV, they probably got businesses that are pretty daggone huge. Well, you know what? They started where we are. And they had to begin figuring this out.
When I drive down the freeway, I see the billboards. I'm like, billboards don't work. And I'm like, looking at every single one. And I'm like, it must be just business owners, because I want to see, like, what does their ad creative look like and who are they talking to and all that stuff. So if you're targeting business owners, I know advertising works because we all try to, tear it apart. Well, so that's awesome. So I want to clarify. Stage 1 was owner operator. Stage 2 is like hiring, right? Which, yes, I call that prison camp. I feel like, tell me if you agree with this or disagree. This is where most people get stuck at, and this is where most people are at. And then it's just easier to retreat down to stage 1, right?
And most do it. Most, they really do put their hands up and give up. Hence the people that I coach in my coaching company, that's most of them. They get stuck. And my job is to unstuck them and pull them, push them, drag them, put them on my shoulders and push through stage 2, because it is hard. So in my world of window cleaning and pressure washing, stage 2 is you're hiring that first, second, third person. Typically, when you get to 4 or 5 technicians, you break what I call a revenue trigger point of $40,000, $50,000 a month. And that, at that point, you can hire a supervisor and get yourself out of the field. And you can separate yourself from the day-to-day of getting your hands dirty. Now you're supervising. Now, before that, there's another revenue trigger point. For those that are listening, it might apply to pretty much anybody. The $20,000 a month mark in revenue, that's a revenue trigger point to bring on an administrator, someone to answer the phones. The mission with stage 2 is to get the hats off the head, right? Let's get you out of the truck. You're hiring people. Let's get you off the phone, hence an administrator. Let's get you managing your technicians, hence out of the truck. But also in stage 2, you break that $40,000, $50,000 a month mark, provided the profit and loss statement is like it needs to be. The net profits are strong. The margins are strong. Now you can hire somebody to replace you as the supervisor. So that's stage 2, a very long, hard, and difficult stage. Now, through that stage, we're beginning the implementation of systems based on where the company is at that time. So if you're hiring someone, you need a recruiting system built out. And that recruiting system, we can go into detail with that if you like. But as you go through stage 2, then you go into stage 3. So stage 3, you've got a pretty decent foundation in place. And if that's the case, all right, you've got the hats off of your head. Now you can spend most of your time working on the business. And this is where, we talk about growing a company, growth. But when you get into stage 3, that's when you can start to scale. The platform is in place. You have the administrator, you have the supervisor, you have technicians. You'll need to hire more as you scale. But now the stage 3 platform is where we begin to dot the I's, cross the T's, and get all these systems in place. But there's one missing component that most seem to, it's a rabbit hole they seem to fall into as they're building out these systems. I'll tell you what it is. They don't enforce them. And what happens is they start to slide back into stage 2. The frustrations start to occur again. They've got a wish-wash of an operation that's beginning to flail because they're not enforcing the systems that have been laid out. So that's stage 3. Every I is dotted, every T is crossed. And at that point, as you're bringing leadership into your company, like Christina, my vice president, Brian, the leadership is there. That then puts you into stage 4 to where you can come and go as you please, or I call it autopilot.
Yeah. No, dude, that's awesome. I mean, the clarity that you just spoke is awesome. It really breaks it down easy. One thing that I guess I want to maybe add and maybe, just get your input on it. When you mentioned something that everybody I've ever met has struggled with that. Like, how do you enforce those policies? How do you enforce those systems? Well, before I unleash you to answer that, for me, it was hiring somebody else to enforce it because I was not a good enforcer. I'm a visionary. I'm trying to do different things and I'm not good at that. So I want to hire someone that is good at enforcing that. But is that what you did? Like, what do you recommend to people?
Yeah, great question. Again, so what it comes down to is having accountability reports, part of the system, part of the enforced systems that you have. So what we have is two guys to a truck. One is the lead, one is the technician. The lead technician has a lead tech dispatch form. So that's the first level of accountability. Before they can be dispatched by the supervisor, they have to fill out this 15-item questionnaire, so to speak. Was the truck washed? Was the interior clean? Was the pressure washer started before you got to the job? Is the lawn sign presentable? Little things like that, right? It's a system, and it's a lead tech dispatch form that we use. Let me go to the next level. So that staff meeting that I talked about that we do on Tuesday mornings. So my office administrative staff are all present. My supervisors are present. Vice president, president. The administrative staff, they have weekly accountability reports that must be turned in every week. So this is how we enforce these systems. So on theirs, there's about 20 items on there, and they have to fill all of this out. And it goes on Christina's desk, Brian's desk, and my desk. And this is how they self-accountable. What's the word for that? They hold themselves accountable. Self-accountability, yes. I guess. But they know that we're going to see it. And they know that we're going to be discussing these reports during the staff meeting. So again, that enforcing of policy and having something that the people in your company can use, that is how we enforce policy. And I got to tell you, it is golden for us, absolutely golden for us, because it's going to bring out what their strengths are. It's going to bring out what their weaknesses are. It gives us an opportunity to have a roundtable talking discussion about what they can do to make their position even better. I was talking to a person today. It was an interview, and I happened to pop in there. It was after our staff meeting, and this person came in for an administrative position. And I told her, Christina and I were talking to her, and I told her, I said, look, you're being interviewed to be an administrator, an inbounder in my office. And you're going to bring in certain skill sets. We're going to teach you certain skill sets. But let me tell you how my company rolls. We are number one in my marketplace that we serve. How are we number one? Well, because every person that makes up the team of people in my company, we work very hard to make them number one at their job scope. And I said to her, and this is where I'm going with this, I said to her, somebody is number one in the country in the inbound position of taking the phone calls, emails, and texts, et cetera, and putting the schedules together. Somebody's number one. My mission for you is going to be number one in the country. It's a pretty high bar, right? But that's our thinking.
Yeah, I love it. Well, so like I hear you talk, and it's like you said, it wasn't easy. It's you're still getting better every day, every week. How do you convince someone to work through that stage, like stage 2 to stage 3? That transition is so hard, and that's where a lot of people do just give up and retreat back to 1. What are some tips you can give them? Like, you hear of like, well, yeah, Jim said to build systems. Like, well, I don't have time to build systems because I'm still doing. I've given some hats away, but I'm still doing the sales, or maybe I do some answering the phones. Do they need to give more hats away first, or what can they do to start building a system? And I want you to just kind of break that down, because I think if, like me, I used to think like system, I don't have time to build a system, but I already had systems in place. I just didn't know about it. Can you walk through some of that?
You bet. And in most, they have something going on in the world of systems, but how much of a formality is behind it, well, that could be another story.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to systems build out, the easiest way to begin this process is take the number one thing that is frustrating you right now and build a little system around it. And that's pretty much how it happened for me. What was the most frustrating, I began building a system around it. Then the next thing, I began building a system around it. Then I wanted things to be a little bit smoother than they were or are. So I built a little system around it. Then I had a lead tech, will say, that wasn't doing his job very well. He was slipping. I came up with a lead tech dispatch form that took care of that immediately. Then I wanted to make sure that for those of you that have the hat off of your head because you have an office manager, well, I wanted this person to operate at the absolute highest level, but I didn't want to have to be there over that person's shoulder all day long, or have to be in the office and listening all the time to see what they're doing. So I built out the accountability reports to help with that. And now they know that I'm going to call them on it in a very professional way if there's a weakness there. So for the listeners that are in the midst of stage 2, where you want to start is exactly where you're at. If you have 2 employees and you're answering the phones and you're the supervisor, okay, maybe you're a $250,000 a year business with a couple of employees. That's kind of how it is in my world. At that point, okay, what are you missing? At the $250,000 a year level, what we begin to identify are what are the missing pieces. Even though you're at $250,000, you have missing pieces here. Let's clean that up. So those of you that are listening, wherever you're at in the stage of your business, as far as, let's say, revenue and having a couple, 3, 4, 5 people, whatever it might be, clean up whatever mess you have and bring yourself up to speed for the proper platform for a $250,000, $500,000 a year operation. And for most of us, it's going to be bringing some of these systems into play that can start connecting together to bring in some a little calmness to the operation. That's the first place to start.
Good. No, great advice. And we actually have a follow-up question to that. What's up, Molly Voth? This is a great question. Any suggestions on software or tech to record the systems? We have stuff in various locations, Google Drive, et cetera. And my et cetera is like a notebook. It really isn't et cetera. Like we've got all these things. So have you found any good softwares or strategy systems to help keep this all in one place?
So as far as like our administrative department, we use CallRail, and CallRail allows us to record all calls. So that becomes a training point to help get our administrators on task to go even better with what they're doing. Again, my job is to make them number one, at least in the marketplace we serve, if not in the state or in the country. So that's one part to that. We take that information, and part of our training on this one little segment here is we role play. So if you have people in your office or you have second, third, fourth offices, you can take those administrators. So we role play. We role play on the inbound script, the outbound script. We role play on what if price is an objection? What if they need to talk to their spouse? How do they overcome objections, rebuttals? So that would be one area of how we manage the system and how we hold them accountable in that regard, as far as that goes. The supervisors that we have, they train our certified trainers to train very well. So in that regard, with that little system there, our certified trainer has a certified 76-point training checklist.
And
so
are these, I don't want to interrupt too much, but are these, is this a binder where they're like out in the field with them? Is it digital? Is it paper copy?
It's paper. It's primarily paper copy, but it's on a tablet.
Okay.
And then they can check these things off as they're training new technicians. And our training is very quick. We have people in the field in a week's time, sometimes less, and they know our core services. The point is, we have a training policy, a training system, a training checklist that is on a big, massive whiteboard for all of our technicians in my office, so our administrators can see exactly where our technicians are in training. They're not going to learn all 76 points in a week, but they're going to learn those core systems, or the core training skill sets that they need to do the job well. But it all reflects back on our training system, and that's how we do it. So it's on a tablet, it's on paper, we record calls, and there's a myriad of other things that we do too to enforce all this stuff.
Yeah, I guess just send us a link and we'll just sign up for coaching and find out. But I do want to pivot a little bit and get into the coaching. What's the name of your coaching business?
Windowwashingwealth.com or pressurewashingwealth.com takes you to the location.
Okay. And ultimately, why did you decide to start the coaching side of your business?
Wow, that's another great question, Ryan. So I go to different conferences, and you start getting a little bit of success. The word kind of gets out a little bit, and people come up and they're asking you questions. And I had so much of that going on, people asking me question after question after question, and I loved it. And I wanted to help them, but I saw a void in the marketplace. I'm like, how could I put something together to help all of these in a way that has structure behind it? So after enough of those conferences and enough people asking me questions, and I had an idea in the back of my mind probably 15 years ago to maybe try to do something like this, but that sealed the deal for me. And that's when I started writing this in 2017, penning this program, if you will, to help. And it was a work in progress, and we're always making it better. But the cool thing about this is, and this is another area where I pinch myself, we have brought people in at zero in our business, never picking up a squeegee even. And we've taken them to over $100,000 a month in revenue in 27, 28, 29 months because they plug in. And those that are listening, I tell the clients that we coach, I say, look, those that talk to us the most are going to get there the fastest. Those that plug into everything that we do, like I said at the beginning, eat it, drink it, plug in to a maximum level, determine how fast you want to go. We'll go as fast as you want to go with this. Just do those things. There's no way you're going to fail. In fact, the word fail is not even in my vocabulary, except for I just said it today, because we don't accept it. We don't accept failure. If you're going to sign on with us, there's only one mission, and it's success. But you have to meet us halfway. You have to plug in. You have to implement. And you know what? When you start bringing some of this business acumen magic onto the table, things that most don't really understand, they don't quite understand P&L reports. They don't quite understand. You probably heard me say, you role play with people to get them better on the phone. I spent thousands of dollars on a professional script writer so that we could come up with scripts that could help elevate our administrative team to be better than all of my competitors. That's our mission, be number one. So those are some of the things that we do.
That's awesome. Well, it's interesting because a lot of these questions I'm asking are questions that I would probably ask myself. And so I'm taking notes, by the way. Why do you think, so you've got these people, like you said, if they'll meet you halfway. And that's the interesting thing. I feel like people sometimes join a coaching program, and I've got less experience than you with the coaching side. Well, even the business side, right? But I got people that join the coaching. I've been doing it almost 2 years now, and they say all the right answers, like, "Oh, I'm committed. I'm going to do this," but they don't meet you halfway there, right? They're not doing that. Why do you think that is? Are they expecting like some magic pill or like some magic phrase that's just going to make them be successful or something? Like, have you figured that out?
I don't think I'll ever figure that one out. I'll give you my opinion on it or what I think. I think a lot of it's here. They don't believe in themselves enough. They don't have enough self-confidence in themselves to be able to drive through the hardships of building a successful company. I truly believe that. Look, anytime with the business, there's no such thing as get rich quick. I just don't believe that.
No.
Everything requires blood, sweat, tears to break through. But you got to break through probably 100 times to get to the end result. And most just quit before they get to that point because of everything that we're talking about. So when we come across those people, and we come across them that are in that mindset of stuck, even though they're being coached, it's a tough one. And you can't drag the horse to drink the water. But we are not going to give up on them. We're going to give them everything we've got to pull them through. It's kind of like, probably like you, definitely for me, in my journey to success, I don't know how many times I was punched in the stomach, knocked down to the ground, hit in the face, dragged along the road behind a car, right? That's just business, getting it off the ground and getting it to where you got to go. And our job, what we do, it's a great thing. We have the template. 85% of the work is done. Just follow the system that we've laid out, right? Really, when you think about it. So those that are out there that are coming across opportunities like this to come on board something like this, let me tell you something. I've had 3 coaches in my life. I had a business coach that helped me get to where I needed to go. I have a wealth coach. I hired a financial coach to understand numbers. I didn't figure all this stuff out by myself. There was no way I could. I wanted to do Krav Maga, so I hired a Krav Maga coach. In the beginning, I was watching some videos like, no, this is not going to work for me. Let me hire a real human being that can really help me. But through my whole business life, coaches are extremely valuable, provided they're on their game, of course. So those that get stuck and they're in this mindset that they're starting to give up, it's up to them to dust, everything off their clothes, stand up, step up, and say to yourself, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure this out. Build that mindset that I'm not going to accept failure. Ryan's going to take me where I got to go. And I have to believe, and I have to have faith, and I have to follow his lead and trust. And you know what? If they do, we have the success stories. There is no way that if somebody jumps on our bandwagon with this, there's just no way that they cannot be successful if they just stay plugged in. So unstuck yourself, plug in, and let's make this happen, because there is a world of opportunity. My coaching company, it's Window Washing Wealth. And I named it that on purpose. And that last word is wealth. Window cleaning, like landscape lighting, the business itself, it's a vehicle to wealth. It opens up opportunities to do other things with the wealth that's being created, hence our services that we have. And this is how you should look at it, how everybody should look at it. It's a vehicle to get to the next stage in life. And that next stage in life can be absolutely unbelievable when you start taking a lot of these principles and applying them.
Well said, man. I've got one question from a listener, and then I want to kind of have you, I want to ask you about your book. Was there ever a point during the growth of your business that you experienced stress within your marriage, family, relationships? Like, is this a trick question?
And it's a great question. And thank you for asking that question, because you know what? You got to be real. Just like I was saying, you're going to fail on your way to success. It's just going to happen. Be prepared for it. Well, for me, I am a workaholic. Business is my hobby. All I talk about is business. My beautiful wife, Tammy, she's the most unbelievable wife I could ever have. She gets it. She understands it. But where we have stress, where we have that going on is because I have to do better. Maybe you have to do better, those that are listening, in separating business from pleasure and having that work-life balance. I struggle with that because my business is not work. It's my hobby. It's my fun at the same time. So I struggle with that. So yes, if there's a law to that, compartmentalize your day. Like we have date day. So Thursdays, I do nothing except spend time with Tammy. We go on date day. We do anything we want to do. No one's allowed to reach me during that day. And put some of that into your life and start prioritizing some time. And I think it'll help you.
Yeah, well said. I think it's a common problem. I still struggle with it, and I have to like just schedule it, because if I don't schedule that time, it's just going to get eaten up by everything else. And it's not like we don't love what we're doing, so it's just easy to work late because we don't feel like we're working. I want to wrap it up. Tell us about your book, and then I just found out you actually have a new an ebook as well that we can get.
Thank you, Brian. So I wrote this book a couple years ago. This is the one that you referred to in the beginning. It applies to any business. It really, really does. It's about 250 pages, windowwashingwealth.com/book. And it'll walk you through a myriad of different things when it comes to business in general. And it's I put my heart and soul into it. It's like my first book. And, you want to make it right. And well, is it perfect? I'm sure it's not perfect, but man, I really tried hard. And you will absolutely, you said it in the very beginning, if you get one nugget of gold, it's well worth it, right? And then I wrote another book. It's windowwashingwealth.com/ebook. And it's one you can instantly download. So this one, you do have to pay for it. The ebook is free. It's about 65 pages, a quick read. It's titled How to Build a Massive 7-Figure Business. And it's completely generic to any business. Doesn't have a window cleaning slant to it.
Nice.
But we're talking about market dominating position, how to create powerful offers, obviously marketing, advertising, joint ventures. There's upselling, downselling, cross-selling, suggestive selling, right? Drip campaigns, bundling your services if you can add more than one that you currently have now, how to do that, how to easily increase prices. We increased our prices last July 25%. And we're not a small company. And we had very, very little flack. And it was a surge in revenue as a result of doing it. So I talk about that and how to expand into other services and products based on your core that you have. So windowwashingwealth.com/ebook. And so, yeah, thank you for that.
Love that, man. You get me excited talking about pricing. Everyone's kind of getting sick of me talking about pricing because it's like pricing. So if Jim can raise his price 25% after all these years, I promise you guys can raise yours 25%. So that's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for being here, Jim. Truly, I'm grateful for our relationship and for you taking the time here. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you, Ryan. Absolute pleasure to be on here. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time with this.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for the week. Don't forget, I want to thank Emery Allen as well for their support. Get 10% off your first order. Just email tomg@emeryallen.com. You guys have a fantastic week, and don't forget to keep moving forward.